I still remember the day I turned 80, waking up to a quiet morning that felt heavier than any birthday I'd had before. In that stillness, I realized I was carrying a burden that had slowly crept in, a persistent feeling of dwindling possibilities. My friends often joked that aging was just a series of closing doors, but their laughter never reached their eyes. We'd all begun to wonder if this was the beginning of the end of our hope, our sense of purpose, and our ability to find new joys. One morning as I sat in my armchair listening to birds outside my window, a subtle thought flickered through my mind. What if I wrote down something I was thankful for each day instead of focusing on my limitations? Could I track tiny moments of beauty? At first it sounded almost trivial. After all, who hasn't heard about gratitude? But the more I considered it, the more I realized how powerful it could be to notice blessings rather than dwell on losses. Seniors are often overlooked in conversations about personal growth or mental well-being, and some of us have bought into the idea that gratitude is just a nice sentiment, not a real tool. That morning, I picked up an old notebook and penned a single line about how peaceful it felt to hear those birdsong melodies. That was the start of a journaling habit that changed the entire tapestry of my day-to-day life. I've seen so many people in their 60s and 70s struggling with sleepless nights, anxiety about their health, and a cloud of pessimism that seems to linger even in the brightest rooms. It's as if we're told that after a certain age, our chief task is simply to endure. And if we don't consciously resist that mindset, life can become a loop of repetitive worries, daily aches, and old regrets. The stakes are high because as time goes on, every moment of joy we miss is irreplaceable. If we allow hopelessness to settle in, we risk living the rest of our years in a shadowy place where new dreams are deemed impossible. That's why I want to share 6 key insights about gratitude journaling that have truly sparked hope in my life. If you stick with me until the final insight, you'll hear about the most surprising discovery I made, one that completely changed my perspective on getting older. It's easy to think that writing down a few thank yous won't do much, but let me assure you, there's something profound in this simple act. You'll see how these strategies can add a sense of lightness to your day, fill your heart with a renewed zest for life, and help you forge deeper connections with the people you love. For years, doctors and mental health professionals have studied the effect of gratitude on emotional well-being, especially in older adults. They're finding that journaling, prayer, and reflective exercises can create measurable improvements in mood and even reduce stress-related symptoms. If you give these insights a chance, you might discover a new way to greet each morning, a way that truly feels like you're opening a gift rather than just flipping another page in a calendar. Before we explore these insights, I'd love to keep hearing from you in the future. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so now and switch on notifications so you never miss a conversation that might enrich your life. Also, let me know if you find this helpful by typing 1 in the comments. If it's not your cup of tea, type 0 and let me know how I can do better. Your feedback is truly valuable to me. Now let's dive into each insight and uncover why gratitude journaling can be so transformative, even if you're starting in your 80s. Number 1, I call it the wake-up call of gratitude. Some people say that once you've reached your 70s or 80s, you've already formed all the habits you'll ever have. I want to challenge that assumption. The idea that older folks are too set in our ways is one of the biggest misconceptions out there. If that were true, none of us would ever develop new friendships, try new foods, or explore new hobbies. Yet I've seen people in their 90s learn to use smartphones, take up painting, and even discover new passions like gardening. The same applies to journaling. There's no deadline for nurturing hope. The common misconception is that gratitude is a passive emotion or simply a polite response to kindness. But real gratitude, the kind you cultivate on paper, can shake you awake to life's possibilities. Take John, age 79, who was convinced his best years were behind him. He spent most of his days flicking through TV channels, feeling his mind slip into a fog of boredom and mild depression. When he started gratitude journaling, he initially wrote short sentences about his morning coffee and the comfort of his slippers. But over time, those sentences turned into paragraphs about reconnecting with an old friend, noticing small acts of kindness in the grocery store, and having the energy to reorganize a cluttered kitchen drawer. The surprising truth is that when you write consistently about what you value, your mind begins to search for more reasons to be thankful. It's almost like adjusting the lens of a camera. Everything that used to appear dull gets a little brighter, and you begin to spot details you'd never noticed before. The practical step here is to commit to writing 3 lines of gratitude each morning for at least 1 week. Don't worry about neat handwriting or perfect sentences. The goal is simply to spark awareness. If you skip a day, that's fine. Just keep going. Emotionally, this shift helps you wake up feeling that something good is waiting for you. The mind stops defaulting to the negative, and instead it becomes eager to find joy in overlooked corners of your life. By challenging the belief that you can't change at an older age, you free yourself to discover that the next chapter can be just as rich as the ones you've already lived. Number 2, I call this the deep breath effect. Many seniors mistakenly think that focusing on gratitude means ignoring genuine hardships. They fear that acknowledging blessings will make them complacent or dismiss real issues like health concerns or financial worries. But the reality is that gratitude can sit alongside any challenge. It doesn't erase difficulties. It provides a calmer mindset so you can face them with greater resilience. Consider Roberta, who turned 85 last fall. She had recurring back pain that made everyday tasks, like bending down to pick something up, a struggle. When she started a gratitude journal, her first entries were hesitant. She'd note something like, "I'm thankful the pain wasn't as bad today," with a sense of uncertainty, but gradually she moved beyond just the pain rating. She wrote about the floral scent in her living room, the warmth of her granddaughter's phone call, and the satisfaction of making her favorite soup. Gratitude didn't cure her back issues, but it gave her a sense of breathing room, like an emotional deep breath that created space between herself and the pain. This is the counterintuitive insight. By focusing on small joys, you actually become more capable of dealing with the harder parts of aging. When your heart is anchored in something positive, it doesn't get dragged down as easily by fear or frustration. A practical tip is to pair your journaling with a few minutes of relaxed breathing. Inhale slowly for a count of 4, hold for 2, exhale for 4, and then write down a couple of things you're thankful for. The combination of mindful breathing and gratitude writing can work wonders for calming an agitated mind. The emotional benefit here is a steadier sense of self. Instead of feeling engulfed by health challenges or negative news, you anchor yourself in tiny islands of peace. It won't erase the waves of difficulty, but it gives you something firm to stand on when those waves come crashing in. If you're still here with me and finding these insights valuable, please leave a comment with the number 2 to let me know you're following along. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell. I appreciate your support more than you know. Number 3, I like to call this one rediscovering your inner childlike curiosity. Many people believe that with age, the sense of wonder we had as children fades away for good. We remember how as kids, a simple walk in the park could become an exciting safari for hidden treasures like pretty stones or interesting leaves. Then we grow up, get jobs, and deal with real-world problems. By the time we reach our golden years, some assume there's little left to discover. But that's the misconception I want to challenge. Real gratitude journaling invites you to see the world with fresh eyes. It does more than just record what you're thankful for. It nudges you to notice details that most people overlook. Picture Cynthia, age 83, who spent decades working as a seamstress. She was used to focusing on the details of fabric patterns, but somehow, as daily responsibilities took over, she stopped applying that same curiosity to the rest of her life. When she started writing about what made her day special, she noticed the subtle changes of morning light on her windowsill, the texture of an old photograph she found, and the sweet tang of fresh oranges she picked up at the store. Her sense of wonder rekindled, and she found that life had hidden pockets of delight everywhere. The surprising truth is that even the smallest objects or moments can become gateways to a deep sense of awe if you take the time to record your observations. A simple habit to try is picking one ordinary thing each day, like a flower, a piece of fruit, or even a cup of tea, and describe it in your journal as if you're telling a curious child about it. Notice the color, shape, scent, texture, and the feeling it evokes in you. This is no empty exercise. It literally trains your mind to see the richness around you. Emotionally, rediscovering curiosity can energize you in remarkable ways. It brings back a spark that might have been dimmed by routine or the assumption that there's nothing new left under the sun. Once that spark lights up, you may find yourself eager to explore parks or pick up hobbies you once assumed were behind you. Gratitude journaling essentially becomes a doorway, revealing that age does not have to dim your sense of wonder. Number 4, I refer to it as healing past wounds. There's a common belief that the longer you've lived, the heavier your emotional baggage must be. Family tensions, lost opportunities, regrets. They can accumulate like layers of dust. Some people think it's too late to process these pains or learn from them. The fact is, though, that it's never too late for emotional healing, and gratitude can be a gentle tool for that process. Let me introduce you to Margaret, age 86. She carried a deep sense of guilt about a falling out she'd had with her brother decades ago. Whenever she thought of him, she felt a knot of regret in her stomach. When she took up gratitude journaling, she started by writing about the better aspects of their relationship, shared childhood memories, funny stories, and lessons learned through their disagreements. Focusing on what she still appreciated about her brother opened a mental space where she could write a heartfelt letter to him, even though he had passed away. In her journal, she gave herself permission to say the things she wished she'd said while he was alive. Here's the counterintuitive truth. By acknowledging what you're grateful for in someone, even someone you've lost or become estranged from, you unearth parts of yourself that are ready to forgive and be forgiven. A practical step for healing is this. When a painful memory surfaces, pair it with one lesson or positive quality you gain from that experience. It might feel awkward at first, but you'll often discover that hidden beneath your hurt is a golden thread of learning or deeper understanding. Emotionally, the effect can be liberating. When you allow gratitude to shine a light on old wounds, they lose some of their sting. You gain a sense of closure and peace that frees up emotional energy for joy in the present. It doesn't erase the past, but it reframes it in a more compassionate light. If you're still watching and these ideas resonate with you, please type the number 4 in the comments so I know you're finding it meaningful. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is a great time to do so. Your engagement is a big part of what keeps me going. Number 5, I call this celebrating small victories as big wins. One widespread myth is that achievements only matter when they're monumental, like publishing a book, traveling the world, or winning an award. By that standard, many older adults feel they have nothing left to celebrate. But the real truth is that daily victories, no matter how small, can be stepping stones to renewed vitality. Consider Richard, who is 78 and recently moved to an assisted living facility after losing his spouse. Initially, he felt like his life had shrunk overnight. Doing his own laundry or going down to the cafeteria for breakfast didn't feel like achievements. They felt like chores. Then a staff member told him about gratitude journaling. Intrigued, he decided to give it a shot. He started listing the small tasks he managed to do independently each day. Making his bed, tidying his dresser, calling his daughter. Over time, he realized these tasks represented autonomy and capability, something he deeply valued. Each entry reminded him that he was still capable of setting goals and reaching them, even if those goals looked different from what he had at 30 or 40. The surprising insight here is that by celebrating small victories, you train your brain to recognize progress and growth in everyday life. A helpful method is to devote one section of your journal each week to small wins. Write down the moments you overcame a challenge or simply did something you used to take for granted. This might include preparing a new recipe, doing a short set of exercises without feeling overly tired, or even writing a heartfelt note to a friend. The emotional payoff is huge. You develop a rising sense of self-worth and confidence. Instead of defining success by standards that no longer fit your current stage of life, you create a new framework where success is any moment you choose to live wholeheartedly. It's in these small steps that you rediscover your capacity for growth and adaptability, fueling hope that there are still rich experiences ahead. Number 6, I call it passing the torch of hope. There's a tendency among seniors to think that their time is almost over, so there isn't much point in leaving a meaningful legacy beyond a will or financial inheritance. But the secret power of gratitude journaling is that it can crystallize the wisdom you've gathered and lets you share it in a heartfelt way with others. Meet Helen, age 90, who began her gratitude journal after feeling isolated during the pandemic. She was inspired to record stories of her childhood, lessons from her marriage, and pearls of wisdom she gathered from raising 3 children. She didn't realize at first that she was assembling a precious gift. When her grandson visited, he picked up her journal and was moved by her insights on resilience, love, and finding beauty in adversity. Helen's family eventually made photocopies of her journal so each child and grandchild could treasure her words. The twist is that gratitude isn't just about your own personal joy. It's also a bridge connecting your past to future generations. A practical approach, if you want to pass on hope, is to select one piece of gratitude each week that relates to a story or lesson from your life. Write it down clearly in your journal and imagine that your children or grandchildren are reading it in 10 or 20 years. It doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes a simple description of how you overcame a tough situation or learned the value of kindness can inspire someone else in ways you can't even imagine. Emotionally, passing the torch of hope gives a profound sense of purpose. You realize that your life's wisdom, shaped by a tapestry of experiences, can guide someone else. Gratitude journaling morphs into a living inheritance of lessons, empathy, and encouragement that can ripple outward for generations. If you've stayed with me through all 6 insights, please type the number 6 in the comments so I can see who's been here to the end. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications to stay connected with this community. Every bit of your support and feedback encourages me to keep sharing stories and tips that spark hope. I'd like to take a moment to reflect on what we've covered. Over the course of these 6 insights, we've seen how gratitude journaling can wake us up to possibilities, help us handle hardships, reignite our childlike curiosity, heal old wounds, celebrate the small steps we take, and leave a legacy of hope for those who come after us. Even if you adopt just one of these points, it could change the way you look at your days. When you shift your perspective, the ordinary can become extraordinary, and the burdens of age can feel a little lighter. There's a certain urgency in this. Every day we get to live is precious, and our window to make meaningful memories doesn't stay open forever. Why spend these golden years dwelling in regret or worry when we can transform our mindset and experience a renewed sense of purpose? Perhaps you imagine yourself next week, opening a fresh notebook and writing down the small wonders you notice each morning. Or maybe you see yourself finding peace in an old hurt that's weighed on your heart for decades. With each journaling session, you're planting seeds of hope. Which of these insights sparked your imagination the most? Is it the idea of rediscovering a childlike curiosity, or maybe the possibility of healing an old emotional wound? Take a moment to picture how these changes might look in your life. Perhaps you'll feel a burst of energy that encourages you to join a local walking group, or you'll see a window of opportunity to reconnect with an estranged family member. The power of gratitude journaling isn't confined to a notebook. It reaches into the everyday moments that define who we are and how we live. I invite you to share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Leave a comment and let us know. Not only does this help you clarify your next step, but your story could spark hope in someone else who reads it. When you share what you've learned, you become part of a community of seniors proving that it's never too late to grow, heal, or find new joys. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could benefit. Each like and comment tells YouTube this content is worthwhile, helping it reach other seniors looking for a little light in their day. It might be exactly what they need to replace a moment of hopelessness with a spark of possibility. Remember, the simple act of writing down a thank you or an uplifting moment can be the first step toward a brighter outlook. When you commit to this practice, you are telling yourself, I'm still here, I'm still learning, and I still have plenty to give. That, in and of itself, is a powerful message. I truly hope you'll give gratitude journaling a try and see for yourself how it can shift your perspective on living later in life. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate your presence, and I look forward to our next conversation together. Never forget, you hold the pen in your hand, and you can write a hopeful and vibrant next chapter in your life story.